Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from LastStandGamers, and welcome back to the Assembling of a Fleet series. So far we've been building battle cruisers, fighters, and we've even been talking tactics on how to board enemy vessels. But in today's episode, we're going to be covering a little bit of a more important topic, and that is defending your creation. Now, you can spend absolute hours building some of these ships, so it's very important that we develop some sort of defensive plan. Now, you've probably thought about it and you've probably stuck a whole variety of turrets on the side of your ship, but let's talk about a little bit more of an in-depth method of actually defending that ship. Now, this is personally my favourite way. It's a 4-stage plan, and it involves an outer defence, an inner defence, and then a main line of defence within the hull of your ship. Now, if you're thinking that they'll never get inside, it's always a possibility, so we need to prepare for that. So let's talk briefly about the defensive systems. Now, on the outer defence, we have laser-guided missile and Gatling gun turrets that can aim up to 800 meters. Now, these are extremely effective, but remember, they're controlled by AI, and we have no control over them. Now, the second line of defence is the player-controlled turrets, you could say, and it's very important to have these on your ship, because sometimes the turrets that are controlled by the AI are just not able to hit some of the targets that you want them to do. They can easily get distracted by debris, sort of flares and shafts that could be deployed by another player, and that will allow them to get a lot closer to your ship. Now, player controlled turrets are not going to be affected by this. You can simply turn them, rotate and engage and take out that vessel without any distraction or hesitation that the turret might have. Now, secondly, even more important is the inner line of defense. So we have two parts to the inner line. We have the central defense, so that is going to be your bridge, your command, and then we have just the more important areas, so we've got your engine rooms and other areas. So we need the final main line of defense, that is going to be your bridge. So it doesn't matter if the other areas of the ship fall, we need some way of the crew members regrouping on the bridge of the ship and then taking the fight back to the enemy. We can't let them take the ship at any cost, and that's what we're not willing to let them do. So let's start by talking about the outer line of defense. So this is the AI controlled turrets with a range up to 800 meters, and you've got two variants of these. You've got both the Gatling gun and the missile launchers. Now, these are debatable in effectiveness, but in most cases they'll scare away a small enemy force because just the amount of firepower that's coming from your ship, depending on the scale of your ship, of course. Now, when it gets a little bit more heated, maybe you're coming up against a ship that is equal in firepower, you really need to start thinking about arcs of these weapons and building yourself a net around the ship. Now, if we think about modern sort of battleships, we have anti-shipping sort of nets around them. So we've got Gatling guns at different positions that can cover in cross arcs, so they've got maximum amount of efficiency to destroy that incoming missile. And that's exactly what we need to think about. If we want to limit damage on our ship, we need to be able to arc these weapons in such a way that we can take about 50, maybe even 70% of the incoming threats. Now, say they've got past that stage, we're moving on to the area where we're going to start having to manually control our human controlled turrets. And the advantage over the AI controlled turrets is that these are not going to get distracted by maybe flares, the shafts and all that sort of systems that the enemy are going to try putting in place, because these are going to be picking priority targets out. So they might be destroying small fighters, they might be shooting maybe at the bridge of the enemy ship, or even prioritize more important threats. Now, the importance with these is covering them with that first line of defense, so you need to surround these with Gatling guns in such a situation, because they're going to be a priority target of the enemy, since they're going to be dealing out a maximum amount of damage. And if you do it right, you can keep these operational for a very long time. Now, let's say the worst has happened. They've breached all your lines of defense. You've deployed fighters, they've been destroyed. Your outer turrets destroyed. Your human control turrets have been destroyed. Now they're inside your ship and they're moving around. Now, if you've not built any interior turrets, you don't have a problem instantly. So what you might have to do is start to get your crew members together, start to build funnel points in your ship. That is extremely important. Your ship might have multiple floors, multiple access ways. You're going to have to funnel them into an area so you don't get flanked, you don't get taken out, and more importantly, you've got to work out where the hull breaches are, because if they're coming in through two positions, it's going to be a lot harder than if they're coming through one. And more importantly, you're going to have to fall back to that last line of defense. Now, this is in the worst case scenario. They've taken out everything, all your interior systems, and you're literally just living off the bridge, the command room. And that's why it's very important when you're building a ship to have your command room built very safely. It's all nice and fine having your bridge on show and everything, but you need a backup one where the crew members can reform, maybe even put a medical bay in there, and you can actually get your crew back to 100% and they have the opportunity to take back the ship. Now, if you have any chance of moving the ship, not disabled your engines or anything, then you need to try to outrun them. But that's not always going to be possible, so you're going to have to fight room by room, door by door. Remember, you have the advantage. You have the medical bay, you know the terms and the ground that they're actually fighting on. They're basically coming in blind to that ship. They could come into a room that's maybe not even connected to anything. So think about what you do, and that's what I'm basically wanting to discuss with you today, defending your ship. And I wanted to hear what sort of ways you're going to defend your ship. Are you going to just simply stack armor on armor, so it's going to be really hard, or are you thinking about overlaying your weapon systems? But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.